they throw some beautiful pottery. Go buy some.
Yes.
And they're not selling, don't get me wrong, but that I'm not pitching for them. I'm just saying there's some great art out there from local artists.
There really is. There's no supply and demand problem downtown with all your local businesses. And we've got a blog up on kilborngroup.com if you want to do a little research of where you want to shop first. We've done a little listicle of all the different shops you can hit downtown. So you're going to find one-of-a-kind stuff.
So I was talking about being there on the 4th of December. Now that's Holiday Winterfest?
This is a big day downtown. Yes, we've got the Xcel Energy Holiday Lights Parade. So all the floats decorated with the lights.
I'm going to be like the hero.
Did you have a homecoming there in Hangetson, Matador, Ipswich, Cayuga, Geneseo? Did you ever have to make floats in high school?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, you got to remember, I was a politician, too. We were in a lot of different floats.
Yeah.
We were in a lot of different floats.
I love floats.
So Mike Allmendinger tells me we want to have a float this year, Kilborn Group. We've never done this before.
Really?
And am I going to make a float? I don't know how to make a
You
float.
want my Polaris Ranger
Chicken
you
wire.
can put under it so you got something
you know what
more
I did?
Flatbed.
I partnered with industrial builders. We've got a giant crane.
Oh, that's perfect for downtown Fargo.
Yeah.
Because that's what you think of when it was built.
Here's what your float should be, and I'm just spitballing here, but you can make a float like a mini downtown, but just on one big flatbed truck, like all the different shops, including the Brazilian shop that we're going to open up. But I mean, you could have like that would be a float.
Yes.
A float of downtown in downtown.
I love
The
it.
crane is so cool. Does it move? We got to make it move. Put a little motorized.
It's a big crane.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you'll see it. You'll be down at the Jaspers.
See, okay, I will see it because trust me, I'll be there. But here's the other part. Does your husband, Adrienne, ever give away your age?
I would wonder if he knows my age. No,
32?
yeah. I'm not too secretive about
Would he be in trouble
31?
if he gives away your age? No,
32?
I mean, you're not that, right?
31.
So my wife turned 60
Yes.
the day before on the 3rd of December. So we'll be downtown enjoying Fargo. And I'll be like the hero because I did all this stuff.
Awesome.
Versus, it's your birthday,
You're going to be good.
What a sweet birthday celebration.
Right. And
Your wife's float would be just a whole bunch of crock pots. His wife has more crock pots, not crack pots, crock pots.
We were talking and I counted crock pots and we entertain a lot of people in 2 different places in the compound. But I counted, I think it was 11 or 12 crock pots.
And there's probably 4 in the closet.
Wow.
I know, it's just sick, right? Different sizes.
Do you have a room to store them in? Shelving?
Well, yeah. But
She should open up a crock pot shop downtown Fargo.
But
we have space for that.
See, Sue doesn't name her crock pots the same way Jack Michaels does, right?
Yeah, Karen.
He's got Karen. He's got a
Little Becky Lamore. Yep.
Oh, my.
We name them all.
that
I
way
would
we
encourage
know.
you to name your appliances.
Now, also on the 4th, XL Energy. What's this about?
Okay, that's the parade.
The parade,
Xcel Energy
right?
Lights Parade.
But how long does that go?
I think we start at 6 and it's probably an hour and a half long.
Okay.
But then also in Broadway Square, there's going to be fire pits and s'mores and hot cocoa and lots of different things.
wow.
Just to-
Sounds fun.
Boy,
Yes.
young love.
She's going to feel like a queen.
That's right.
There's no way I can dig out of this hole. Well, you stick around. Can we talk some more?
Absolutely.
And she's sitting here
There's
going,
not going to be a guy that grabs his girlfriend's hand while he walks down this beautiful scene in downtown.
We've already seen a couple of proposals out there.
See?
did they last?
I
I always
hope
want
so.
to check the really romantic proposal. All right, did it last? All right.
What was that?
This got away from me a long
I'm
time.
sorry.
I was thinking, cooking?
Oh, yes. I host both families.
Really? At the same time?
At the same time.
How many people's that end up
It's
to?
been up to 35. I think this year we've got 25 coming.
That's my kind of get together.
Oh, yeah.
Right
and
there.
I set up the pinochle table this morning.
Time
All
out.
right.
Yeah.
I was just talking with Rusty Halverson because I come from a pinochle
Oh, I
family.
love it.
I do too. There will be pinochle played tomorrow at the Heitkamp.
See, and it's amazing how the younger generation
So-
hasn't picked this.
I
What is a
know.
rope worth where you play?
For me, it's a rope is 29.
Okay, no,
29?
yeah. Right.
Ours is like,
So we have either Bismarck rules or Mayville rules. Like
See,
Mayville, you can
right.
get a double marriage.
what's it dropped on you for?
Right.
25?
19 in Bismarck, 25 in Mayville.
Right.
Unbelievable how the
See,
rules change.
Well, right. Ropes were worth 19 when I played in Grand Forks, and they were worth 15.
The ropes are 15.
Right, 15 back in Manador.
You definitely have to set the rules before play starts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's,
Okay, so I've had double pinochle a ton of times. We all know that.
Have you had a double rope?
I've had a double rope five
you
times.
Double rope right here.
1990 had a double rope.
That's
You've
when-
had it five
times. That's when you know you're playing too much pinochle, right? But here's the thing: I've never had 1,000 aces.
I don't
What?
think
Never. I've had 100 aces. Obviously, everybody has.
1,000 aces.
You got to get up and do some deep knee bends,
Yeah,
get the luck
right.
going.
1,000
Yeah.
aces when you have all 8. You've had that?
We should open up a club downtown.
Okay.
Just a pinochle shop.
Yep. Exactly.
Just have decks of
I've
cards
got a
I
lot of
know.
ideas for
That does
downtown.
sound fun.
and snacks.
I want to open up a crockpot store and a pinochle shop.
We could do this while we're having ourselves a funky little Christmas.
Yes, we could have, yes.
What is this all about, Adrian?
Oh, so at Sanctuary Event Center, December 17th and 18th, we've got post-traumatic funk syndrome. And Sanctuary, if you're not familiar with it, it used to be St. Mark's Church. It's a gorgeous little church in downtown Fargo, and we historically renovated it a couple of years ago, and now it's a weddings event venue, and we've got lots of live music in there. So this is a really great chance to come out and post-traumatic funk syndrome.
It's like a wall of sound. Those guys are just
Yeah.
It's
awesome.
cool.
And you here's what I know about post-traumatic funk. No matter, you'd have to pay them a lot for them to make money because there's so many people
There's
in the
a lot,
band.
yeah.
They're clearly doing this because they love doing it.
Yes.
And I just think that's so cool.
They are having a good time, and it's a great place to see a concert.
Sanctuary is really one of the best venues and well-used venues for a myriad of events.
Right.
That
We have our
in
Twins
town.
Winter Caravan there
Yeah,
now.
it's
Nice.
they love it
fantastic.
for that. They absolutely love it for that. So how do you get time to go to all of this and raise 3 kids at the same time? There's the tough question.
I've
isn't it?
lost my mind a little bit.
What time did Joel and I show up at your place for the Swedish meatballs?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to start around 10
Ooh,
tomorrow.
10 o'clock,
Yep,
Joel.
come on
You'll be-
over.
So walk me through the whole menu for 30 people.
Oh, for my place?
Yeah.
Well, we got the turkey. We got to put the turkey in at 5 because it's 23 pounds.
Right?
Oh, the average turkey is 15
it
pounds.
sounds
That's on
like
your
she
trip.
lives at my house.
Ridiculous. Yeah, and stuffing. And I'm going to try a sweet potato casserole this year. Never done that before. Always the green bean casserole. We got the whole fixins. Lefse is absolutely required. Flatbread is absolute. Rumagrit.
Oh.
This is...
See, rumagret, it's rumagrat.
Is that the
where-
difference is rumagratin?
Yeah,
What's rumagratin versus rumagrit?
I don't know.
I
It's all
don't
the
know
same,
either.
isn't it? It's all the same. It's just how you pronounce it.
Oh,
right?
just the pronunciation.
Yeah,
Right, exactly. So what's the other meat? Just turkey?
we have just turkey.
Okay.
Just turkey.
I mean, if you're cooking a 23-pound bird, you got plenty of turkey
we'll
for
have plenty.
everybody.
And then we've got to do the sandwiches at pinochle time after
Deviled
dinner.
eggs?
Deviled eggs, yes. We've got
Hello.
Deviled eggs.
I can handle that.
Hello.
We're
I
good.
made 64 deviled eggs last weekend for a
Yep.
Viking party.
He's a PDEM,
You might have to
professional
share your
deviled egg maker.
recipe. I love trying different kinds.
I love making deviled eggs, and I can tell you this: there wasn't a wife happy with me when they left.
Oh. Hello, sulfur.
oh.
Anyway, what I'm just saying, the egg. It smells
It was fun. And the Vikings won. See,
Right.
so
There we go.
It's 2-1. So, why is it me? But I'm not big into yams. Am I the only one in the country
I'm not a
that
yam
doesn't
guy.
like
I am not either. I've never tried them before, but we're just going to try something new this year.
you cranberry?
Oh, yeah, with just the jar, the can.
The can?
Yeah.
See, that's
all.
how I grew up with the can
Yeah.
with the little lines in it.
I'm the only one that eats it.
Adrienne, what a full service guest you just brought on.
Homemade bread.
No, that's a
dinner
good
roll
idea.
bread?
Yeah, we have frozen dinner rolls that we'll cook
I
up.
have 2 bread machines. I'll borrow.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love it.
So where's the website to find out all the things in downtown?
Let's
Fargo?
try KilbourneGroup.com and downtownfargo.com.
All right, it's that simple. When we come back, what is turning out to be a tragic story about a farmer from Ashley? Right after this.
Parade in Wisconsin earlier this week. Parade organizers in Fargo-Moorhead have made a decision to modify security for this year's Xcel Energy Holiday Lights Parade that's scheduled for Saturday, December 4th. Organizers say safety first on their list. Additional dump trucks and snowplows may be used as barricades to help keep the parade route more secure. Spectator locations along the center NP Avenue Bridge will be restricted. Those watching the parade on the bridge are going to be asked to do so on the sidewalk. The changes were made after discussions with Fargo-Moorhead police and first responders. It's going to be a lot of extra law enforcement looking for impaired drivers on Minnesota roads from now through the end of the year.
Oftentimes when we hear the term DWI, we think about alcohol. Well, alcohol, DWI, is the amount of people being arrested for this is going down. Drug-impaired driving arrests increasing at a substantial rate, and we are focused on this right now.
State Patrol Sergeant Tyler Mellis says from 2018 to 2020, 58% of the impaired drivers showed they had 2 or more substances in their system at the time they were arrested. Corey Berry, who's the CEO of Minnesota-based Best Buy, said the wave of mass store thefts that's happened around the country is hurting the company's business and has been traumatic for their employees.
For our employees, these are traumatic experiences, and they're happening more and more across the country. Obviously, their safety is our first priority, and so we're putting a multitude of measures in place.
Barry, speaking to CNBC, said Best Buy plans to work with law enforcement more closely in cities where it operates, locking up more products in an effort to implement additional safeguards and prevent theft and looting. Best Buy has seen a number of electronics and devices stolen in its stores recently. The company's third quarter earnings report was higher than expected, but the company saw a 15% drop in its stock on Tuesday. Top Republican in the Minnesota Senate says he is now willing to postpone a debate over confirmation of State Health Commissioner Jan Malcolm to help break the stalemate over a special session. Majority Leader Jeremy Miller says if Democrats agree to discuss Republican plans on coronavirus, he would drop threats to remove Malcolm. Republicans have been critical of Governor Walz's emergency powers and public health restrictions and believe getting rid of Malcolm would send a message. The Republican plan includes regulatory relief and up to $250 million for long-term care, as well as lifting some vaccine policies put in place by the governor. KFGO Weather Center forecast day before the holiday day. Mostly cloudy, windy today, a few flurries, steadier falling temperatures, and our high expected about where we're at now. Cloudy, it's 28.
Let's get you to Hatch Realty, brokered by Real. That's Eric. Heading into one of the big holidays tomorrow, but you know what? I was sitting here thinking of the drive up, and I was thinking about how, blessed this holiday is going to be and how much families are going to enjoy it. And then I was thinking about the family that I was going to get a chance to visit with today, and how this holiday is going to be for them and how incredibly unfair it is going to be. Imagine if you had a brother, in this case, Kurt Grohans, and what you had was a brother that was just so passionate about farming from the Ashley area, and that brother had a background in terms of looking at his ancestry, and the Ukraine is someplace that was something that played a role in his life, right? You go there, they need you to go there. You work at farming there. So much, in fact, that you handled your farm back home in a different way, and now you find yourself in a prison without a trial yet being held, and the family can't speak to you. Well, Kurt's sister, Christy Magnuson, and Kimberly Groshans is with us right now, and we get a chance to visit with both of them because they need to be able to tell their story. I'm going to begin with you, Christy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Joel, for having us.
And Kimberly, I just want to make sure you're there as well. Kimberly, thanks for coming on.
Yes, thank you. I'm here.
Okay. So here's the thing, guys. There's so much to this story. There's so much accusation. There's so much that not to be true coming out of Ukraine. I think, Christy, why don't you just start by telling what is happening here?
Well, we were informed. Actually, I should let my sister explain it because she was the one that received the contact information to actually inform us that my brother was indeed imprisoned. This is Kim, and yes, last Friday morning, like at 4:00 in the morning, I received a text message through like the Facebook Messenger from a guy wondering if I was Kurt's sister, and that he knew him from farming over in the Ukraine, and wondered if we knew that he has been arrested and thrown in a prison over there. And I was kind of leery about who was sending me this message, so I screenshotted the message that I got and started sending it to my brother by all the means that I communicate with him. I could tell he hadn't read the messages, so then I started calling him. So for the next couple hours, I was trying to reach out to him and research who this guy was that messaged me, found out that we had a mutual friend on Facebook who happened to be my brother's, one of his hired workers over there. And so I reached out to him, and he, in fact, confirmed that Kurt had been arrested and thrown in jail that day, or the night before on Thursday. And so I reached back out to the guy who messaged me, and that's basically how we found out. We started reaching out to the embassy and didn't get our phone calls answered. When someone finally did answer, they just had us email our concerns, and we didn't really get to talk to anyone at the embassy until the following Monday. Yeah, that's basically how we found out. We never did get contacted by anyone from the embassy or the government over there saying my brother has been in prison. So it was by sheer luck that one of his friends reached out to us, and that's how we found out last week.
So, and I'm going to just do this, you guys. Either one of you just look at each other on who wants to answer these questions, but no communication. What is the accusation? What are they claiming that justifies imprisoning a man?
There's my brother has been in litigation with this Roman Lyshenko for the past couple of years. And they're saying the allegation that they have now is that my brother and another woman had hired a hit to have Roman Lyshenko murdered.
And are they talking to you about why they believe that? About any evidence whatsoever? Or because if you look at Roman Lyshenko and where he is in the Ukrainian government now, I think you guys need to explain that, because you're going up against a mountain here, the way it looks to me.
Yeah, we basically, this Roman, I actually met him when my brother brought him to North Dakota. That was in probably 2018, 17 or 18. He befriended my brother before he was in any kind of political area in the government. And he befriended my brother, and my brother actually farmed some of his land. And my brother had a company over there and had Roman on there as a director on there. And a couple days after he was on my brother's account, he started transferring money into his own personal account. In the meantime, my brother, this Roman wanted to come to North Dakota to see the farming practices. So he actually brought him back to North Dakota. I picked him up at the airport, and he stayed overnight at my uncle's house. We had a meal together, and my brother took him all around North Dakota, showed him different things with farming, where he farmed here in Ashley. And then it was sometime after they were back in the Ukraine, and then my brother was back in the United States, I believe, when he found out this Roman had embezzled like $250,000 from him. And also, I think he had stolen grain from him. And so this was what the court case was about, to get his money and the grain back from this Roman. And in the meantime, this Roman had been appointed to a government position.
So I want everybody to keep that in mind. You have someone that absconded with your money, absconded with your grain, and you're trying to take him on, and yet he's become one of the highest ag officials in the administration in Ukraine. I mean, when I said this is a high mountain to climb, that's exactly what this is in terms of the system that Kurt had to use to try to get his money back. I mean, how was that working? What was he running into walls there that for those folks to become so frustrated that they then, in fact, would have the motivation to do what they're doing to him now?
Yes, he's run into a lot of roadblocks. We don't believe he's been given a fair chance with these court dealings. In one of the articles that we read, and I'm sure a lot of other people have seen the numerous articles, but in one of the articles it said that from the court saying that you have to realize who you are trying to sue, meaning you as a smaller, just individual farmer are going up a member in a political party.
I just take a step back and think, it isn't hard when you're looking at it from the standpoint of your family to understand how this could look as corrupt as it possibly could. And I don't know how you deal with it, you guys. I mean, can you reach out to an attorney there? Can you reach out to the embassy there? Hang on to all of that, would you please? And when we come back, I want to make sure that you have time to explain the actions, and if there's any way that people can help. I think that's a big part as well. So Christy and Kimberly will be here when we get back right here on the News and Views Radio Network. about, a man very passionate about Ukraine. There's a lot of family history there. He goes over to farm and to set up a practice, seeing opportunity and seeing everything that can bring out the passion of a young farmer. His sister Christy and Kimberly, Christy Magnuson and Kimberly Groshans are with us right now. Their brother is in prison. He's in prison. He hasn't been found guilty of anything yet, but they're trying to tell the story so that any way possible they can get help. When we left off with this story, we were talking about the individuals that were utilizing what Kurt brought to it, taking money, taking crop, doing all these type of things, to the point where now there was a lawsuit to try to make things right. I guess Christy or Kimberly, the only way it seems to me that the individual that is doing this, that the individual, this Roman Lashenko is going to be brought to that the light's going to be shined on him, is if the administration in Ukraine gets it. What is happening there to make sure that the government of Ukraine is realizing what your brother's up against here?
That's a difficult question to answer. We've been going through the chain of command that we were directed to go, as far as offices and administration to contact. We have had some offices since reach out to us and have been looking into the case. As far as the administration over in the Ukraine, we don't know what type of assistance that they are providing. So that's a difficult question to answer at this point.
What about our administration here? What about our ambassador? What about the people involved in our State Department? Are you getting any help from them?
We recently had a phone call. We're able to speak with Senator Hoeven. We've also been contacted by Senator Kramer's office and Armstrong's office. And they have reached out to the Department of State. They have spoken to the U.S. Embassy over in the Ukraine, and they are trying to get information for us and do their part to help any way that they can.
Okay. So here's the big tell for me on how hard people are working on something like this. Are they keeping you informed? Do you have to call them for information, or are they calling to give you information?
Well, yesterday we had a call from Senator Hoeven, and he updated us with what their conversation with the State Department. So they've been really good to reach back out to us and call us. So we've been very impressed with our senators and congressmen here. So we're very thankful for them.
See, to me, that's the key. And John or Senator Hoeven, if he's doing that, that's a really good sign. That means he isn't backburnering it. That means that it's on the front plate. And so how is this is a ridiculous question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How is the family holding up, you two? I mean, this isn't just a roller coaster. It's a downward spiral.
It's the worst possible nightmare any family could ever experience, especially when you are notified during the middle of the night, receiving this type of information, and have no contact with your brother overseas. We feel so helpless, and we feel like our hands are somewhat tied. And we're kind of at the mercy of people and other individuals reaching out to us to help guide us, because not many individuals are in this position to know who to contact, when to contact, where to contact. We're learning as we're going.
It's very, very overwhelming.
So is there any indication that if one of you or both of you went, they would let you see him? Have you heard that at all?
Well, that was one thing that we asked Senator Hoeven if he could find out for us if there would be a way, if we went over there, we could actually visit with him. and he didn't know the answer at the time, but he was going to be doing some checking on that for us.
It seems to me that that's such a big part of this, that until you get to see your brother face to face and can talk to him, to find out. I mean, he is going to know the most out of anyone about what the heck's going on. And so not giving you access to him, it seems to me, it smells rigged. I mean, it smells really rigged, ladies, that if they're afraid to let you talk to your brother, then it puts up a big red flag for me.
Exactly. And my last communication was with my brother on November 16th, and that was just by simple text messaging, just some small bantering back and forth. How are you doing? How are things? He said things were fine. So at that point, he did not indicate that there was anything wrong. Like I said, we're now working our way through the chain of command to try to get some communication to be able to speak with my brother. When he arrived over in the Ukraine, he invested a fair amount of money in a town, and his dream was to farm the famous black soil over in the Ukraine, and in that he felt so passionate that he had his machinery and personal belongings shipped to the Ukraine so that he could continue with this farming venture. And since then, this dream has turned into a nightmare after he's appointed Roman Lashenko as his director of the company. And, just reading articles and seeing what we're seeing, this money was transferred to Roman Lashenko's his own company, called Progress LLC before he was appointed to the position that he's in, and believe that this company is now owned by his wife. I know my brother's had to put mortgages on his house. He's lost a couple of years of farming over there because he didn't have the working capital, because he's awaiting these two lots. And so it's been a big struggle.
Yeah, and another thing that we my brother actually showed this to me on his WhatsApp text messaging with him and Roman. And in that text message, Roman, threatened him to have him thrown in jail. And this was, I think, back in 2018 or 19. And so now it's now he's in jail. So it's you have to wonder, someone in that position threatens to throw someone in jail and they end up in jail. He carried through with his threat.
So let me just walk people through this. You get stolen from, and then the individual that steals from you gets a place in government, and he threatens to throw you in jail if you continue to try to get your money back. If that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what does. I want you two to be able to tell people a little bit more about your brother. Can you give me just a little bit more time, ladies?
Yes.
Okay. And maybe some insight, ladies and gentlemen, because you're hearing a man's name from Ashley, North Dakota for the first time. But when you hear his sisters, all of a sudden he seems exactly like your neighbor, doesn't he? Stick around. More coming your way. Ladies and gentlemen, Christy Magnuson and Kimberly Groshans are sisters of Kurt. And Kurt finds himself in a prison in Ukraine. And this is a man, let me just give you some background here. This is a man who hired and worked with a man named Roman Lashenko, who Roman stole from him, okay? He stole from him. He took crop. He took money. He took all of this, right? So then Kurt goes about any method he can in the Ukraine to get this back, to bring this level to justice. And where does he find himself? He finds himself in prison right now. And Roman Lashenko finds himself as part of the administration of the country right now. So imagine what Kimberly and Christy are up against. And that's one of the reasons that I have them on, to make sure people know and to find out if there's anything collectively we can do. Now, Christy and Kimberly, tell people about your brother. Tell people that might be naysayers or, hey, you went over there, you got to live the consequences type people. I want them to know him as a person. So tell them about your brother, if you would.
My brother is the youngest of us three siblings. He was raised on our family farmstead 11 miles northwest of Ashley. He enjoyed working alongside with my dad and my grandpa, beginning at an early age. He graduated the top of his class from Ashley High, and he attended NDSU in that fall. And while he was attending college, he would continue to drive back and forth from Ashley to Fargo so that he could still help on the farm. He excelled in college, and his 4-year degree he completed in 3.5 years, all with school and farming. And after that time, he still wasn't satisfied with the education that he had, and he decided to go back to NDSU to earn his master's degree in business administration. Back in 2000, he made a trip over to the Ukraine on a farm tour, and made several trips over there over the years, and just began to fall in love with the country, and just had a passionate interest for the country. And like we said earlier, in about 2017, he decided to make one of his dreams come true, and he decided to move to the Ukraine to continue a farming career. He's been traveling back and forth from the United States to the Ukraine, farming over there, coming home to visit family. And up until now, he's been living that dream, which is now turned into a nightmare.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Kurt was just he's one of those brothers that you can always count on. He's very, got a witty sense of humor and stuff like that, but you can always count on him. And he's always been kind. He's very well respected as a person, as a farmer, in our community. And he just has a lot of friends, all over the country and in the Ukraine who he farmed with. And we've had a lot of his friends reach out to us saying that he is one of the few people that they trust over there, that he's just a kind person, that he is always just very helpful. He's a good person. He's genuine. And he's just a very likable person and very passionate about farming. He loves talking about farming to anyone. So, and he's just our favorite brother.
So here's the thing, ladies. So much you just described people in other people's lives. He's one of us. I mean, that's who who Kurt is. And so it's, while he took, some chances here and he tried to take his passion for farming to a place that he was passionate about, which not many people would do. He's just somebody who loves to farm and took that even to a higher level at NDSU. And so I think people can resonate with him. I think that people, the individual that says, well, what the heck was he doing over there? Now they get it. Now they understand it. And so I have to ask both of you, because the people I know that are in their pickup truck or that are in front of that computer or that, are heading into the cafe, they're saying, what can we do? Is there anything we can do? So I'm going to throw that at you two's doorstep here. Is there anything that the people that are listening to you right now can do to help your family?
We have set up a GoFundMe page. There's also, we have an email if anybody out there has any connections or people that they feel we should reach out to. And that email address is freedom4kurt with a K at gmail.com.
Okay. I've got to ask you this, and I want you to get a chance to answer it, because I know the answer, but I want to make sure you two have a chance to answer this. Is there any doubt in your mind whatsoever that Kurt is innocent?
He's innocent. There's no doubt in my mind at all.
No, this is not something he would do.
And I think that family can tell you that better than anyone. I really do. Ladies, you've got their attention. You do. And I know you're doing a lot of different media. I encourage you to keep that. Here's the biggest part for me. You do these things, and then people hear it, and it gets their attention, and then the next thing you know, they're on to something else. And that's not good for Kurt. That's not good for him at all. And so keeping this out in front of people, I think, is a good thing. And you can use these radio networks as a means of doing that any time you want. If you call us, we're going to get you on air. If you've got more to the story, I hope you do call us. And, of course, I hope people do go to the GoFundMe page. I hope they do monitor this. And if there's anything else you need or expect, you just have to call, okay?
Thank you. And if people want to read, my brother had written an article called Once Upon a Time in the Ukraine, and he wrote it just this year in August 30th, and it's he posted it under his name to a Medium account. So if you just search for that, again, it's called Once Upon a Time in the Ukraine. He wrote really the article about the corruption going on in the Ukraine and going up against a political leader that has embezzled from him and what he's going through. So it's a really good read. I encourage people to go out there and take a look at it.
Did he ever tell you, too, that he feared for his life?
No. We would ask him, he knew we were concerned, but he always comforted us by saying, all is good, things will be fine.
Yeah.
He was, at that point, he never was fearing for his life.
Well, you have a lot of people cheering for you folks, and I hope this has a good end to it. If he just was able to get out of there, even though he's been absconded from, I mean, that alone would ease a lot of people's minds. And then you can do everything through the State Department or whatever. But getting him out of that country, it would seem to me, is the key right now.
Yeah, very much so.
Yep. Anything else, ladies, before we let you go?
Thank you so much for letting us give a voice for our brothers. Thank you.
Well, you can do that anytime. I meant what I said. So thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Joel.
Yeah. So you've got, ladies and gentlemen, a man passionate about farming, knows what he's doing, highly intelligent, well respected. I found that out pretty quick through a couple of different phone calls. that people would look to him not just for leadership, but just for the sheer enjoyment of talking about agriculture. He takes that over to a family heritage, to a country that everybody looked at as though that was the sane country in comparison to Russia, who was trying to do what they did to the Ukraine. And so he's doing something with his life that he's passionate about, right? He's doing something that he didn't want to look back on someday and say, God, I wish I would have tried that, or I wish I would have done that. Instead, he's doing it. And so I just respect that so much. I respect that. And so you think, well, Joel, you haven't heard both sides of the story. Here's the thing. I can't hear the other side of the story, right? They're holding a North Dakotan in prison in Ukraine. They're holding him in prison. Nobody's getting to talk to him. He made the case that he was being ripped off, that he was being stolen from. And it appears that's what got him in the most trouble. Was he supposed to look the other way? Was he supposed to completely ignore that and not try to go through the judicial system that they have to try to get his money back? I mean, and so it isn't hard to see from afar that when you get stole from and you try to go through the system and you're an American versus a Ukrainian, that the next thing you know, you're on the outside looking in. And so individuals who say, boy, you haven't heard both sides of the story, I'm just going to say to you one thing. Then let him tell his story. And then they can come out and talk about it. Because I think more than anything, that's the best place to get started. And I think this family is owed that. And so any help that we can give them, I think we all need to. All right, let's get to Tom Szymanski and find out what's going on in the weather. Tom?
Some flurries and snow showers, south central North Dakota, middle of the
and people can listen to those two sisters
Yep.
talk about their brother Kurt.
And I think I'm going to get a photo too so they can put a face to him.
Yeah, I think that's important. Somebody said, I missed part of that conversation with the two ladies. I thought you heard an accusation of an assassination attempt. That's what he's being accused of. He's being accused of murder. And so if you missed part of that, just know that you can go to the home base here of the News and Views Radio Network if you go to KFGO.com. Now, this ties back to Ashley, North Dakota, but imagine how many other towns this might tie back to. There are farmers out there that are being called upon with their level of expertise to go to a number of different countries. And there are farmers out there that look at opportunities to do business in a number of different countries. This isn't how or the way it should work. And what scares the heck out of me about all of this, and I'm not saying something now that the sisters are on because I know it's going through their mind as well, is the fact that you're taking on the administration as well. And that's brutal. Absolutely brutal. And so the only way to deal with that is to deal with it through our government. And I think that's part of it as well. Let's get to our farm and ranch director, Sarah Heinrich, and find out what's going on in our market. Sarah?
Markets have gone into a downward trend since we visited last. We're now seeing March corn a penny lower at $5.87. January soybeans down 2 3/4 at $12.70. In the wheat market, March is at $10.41, down 4 1/4. New crop for September at $9.39, down 3 3/4. Cattle remain in the green, seeing January feeder cattle up 85 cents at $165.23. February live cattle at $140.08, 65 cents higher. And for February lean hogs, we're at $84.05, up 78 cents. With your markets, I'm Farm and Ranch Director Sarah Heinrich for the News and Views Radio Network from the Enterprise Sales Ag Studio. Enterprise Sales of Valley City, your grain handling and storage experts.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that. Heading into the Thanksgiving weekend, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, there'll be no markets tomorrow, so we'll get another update from Sarah here on the News and Views Network a little bit later. But I want to make sure that we get a chance to have you voice your concerns, and let's get to Jim. Jim, you're on News and Views.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
I live in Fargo, but I'm from New Rockford, about a town about the same size as Ashley, where your topic is today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm familiar with a friend of mine, Gary, that lives in New Rockford, and he suffered a lot of mental illness problems, and similar to what his sisters are talking about. He got in felony trouble and went to prison.
But this is a different deal, Jim. With all due respect, thank you. We're not talking about somebody with mental illness. What we're talking about is a young man that excelled at farming, a young man that went to NDSU, got his degree in 3.5 years, went back to NDSU, got his master's degree, went out there, found out more about his heritage, went to the Ukraine and found an opportunity. And, you know, if you listen to the two sisters he was stolen from, and when trying to find a way to recoup that from the individual that he was stolen from, that individual being a new part of the administration, found himself in a very powerful position. And the next thing you know, our man from Ashley finds himself in prison, being accused of attempted murder. So we'll be back with your calls all the rest of the way here on News and Views. and what they're doing. We're going to get a chance to visit with Lori, great group of volunteers, and just get an update. And they have an event coming up that hopefully you can or want to take part in. That'll help the honor flight. They're always finding ways to raise money because it costs a lot of money to send these veterans to Washington, D.C., and so that's a big part of it. But we were talking about the situation in Ukraine with a farmer from Ashley and how he's being held in prison there, accused of attempted murder. And let's get to the phone lines and talk about it. Ken, you're on News and Views. Go ahead, Ken.
Good morning, Joel. Pleasure to speak with you.
Thanks for calling in.
Yes,
Ken.
in regards to this poor gentleman over there, absolutely. My best friend who worked for me for 17 years is from the Ukraine, and he came over after supposedly freedom hit, and he was persecuted for his faith over there. He is a Christian. Him and his whole family were persecuted horribly, beaten, left for dead, jailed. It hasn't changed a lot, Joel. I do speak with my friend quite oftenly, and his brother is a friend of mine, too. He is a pastor in Crimea. To start in Crimea, the annexation of that part of the country was such a horrible thing that we're being told. We don't know the real truth. The fact is that people were working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, sometimes 7, and not being paid for 4 to 6 months. They would give them a little bit of food to compensate for some of their wages, and this was continuing on. People were starving. Putin pays his people. I'm not saying he's an angel. He's a murderous dictator, too, but at least he feeds his people. Over half the people over there speak Russian, and then there's the Ukrainian language. In Ukraine right now, they're on the brink of civil war. They'll be walking down the street. Let's say one side would be some Ukrainian folks, the other side some Russian dialect. Ukrainian people will jump up and down. If you don't jump up and down saying that you speak their language, you're in great danger. You'll be beat and possibly killed. There's murders going on over there. It's a horribly corrupt country, and we don't hear the truth. My friends' family live there. I hear the truth. And I hate to say it, but in my opinion, the only way this poor guy's going to get out of there is a great sum of money. If he can somehow pay him off, keep his mouth shut, and get him out of that country. Because bribing is the way you get things done there, Joel.
I thought about that, Ken.
It's a horrible situation.
We're sitting here thinking, okay, he's owed money. He's been stolen from. And so we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. To me, that is way on the back page. I mean, it's way back on the list of priorities. To me, getting him out of there is the most important thing, because clearly, what from the outside looking in, he's owed the money. They're not going to pay him the money. They're going to use the government to do that. No. But I want to throw this at you, Ken, because you sound more informed than me about it, obviously. When I thought of Ukraine, I thought of the modern Russia, what Russia could be. I thought of Ukraine as this democracy that we were supporting and Russia was trying to engulf, much like Taiwan and China, that really what we were talking about here was an advanced, more progressive in terms of being a democracy country than Russia, and that was why we were dealing ourselves a hand in it.
Yes, and that's a projection that we're led to believe, but they're horribly corrupt. They're run by the mob. They're not much better than Putin, Joel. And it's a sad state of affairs. They are on the brink of civil war, and I'm not picking one side over the other, but at least Putin was feeding his people.
Yep.
They work and they get paid.
Yep. Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it. If you're going to use government as the tool to make sure you can steal money, it says a lot about the country itself. Tom, you're on News and Views. Go ahead.
Thanks for taking my call, Joel. Very similar situation to what the previous caller did. I sold farm equipment from a manufacturer that was in Winnipeg that was Canadian-owned for years and then was eventually owned by the Russians, or currently is owned by the Russians. When it was Canadian-owned, it was almost like a partnership with them. You could voice your concerns. talk to them about things just like you and I would do. When the Russians took over, if you were talking to a Russian manager up there, it was like nothing you and I have ever seen. It was bullying, intimidating. It was my fault. I was lazy. And I don't want to be negative towards the people from Ashley, but they're not dealing with anything like you and I ever deal with. They'll cover things up. They'll twist it. They'll spin it. They'll just out and out lie right to your face.
You're talking about the people in the Ukraine. You're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Yes. I mean, we had upper management up there that would just belittle you, just verbally undress you in front of an audience if you asked a normal question.
I don't know.
That's what they're dealing with.
If you had an opportunity to give them, Tom, give those sisters one bit of advice, what would it be?
I think the only way to go through this, Joel, is going to be go through, government that way. You're going to have to go right to the top with this and get our diplomats and our government involved with this. Personally, tell them not to lose faith, but it's going to take a way higher authority, because that's a situation over there, Joel. Like, people here can't even imagine how bad and corrupt it is.
Yeah. Tom, thank you. Thank you. I hope they're listening, and I hope they hear your advice. The best part about the interview that I had with Christy and Kimberly was when I found out that they were happy with the North Dakota delegation and what they were doing to try to resolve this, and what they were doing on behalf of their family. And then, to me, I've been around politics enough where you say, you bet, I care, I'm going to do, and then you don't get back to them. I've seen people do that. I was never that type of politician. I'd spend my weekends calling people back and saying, all right, how we doing? Have you heard from them? I mean, that's, otherwise it's just lip service. Well, when I heard that Senator Hoeven was getting back to them and getting information to them as they go, so they're not sitting there saying, well, should we call them? Should we call them? I don't know. When was the last time we called them? We got to have more. I mean, they shouldn't have to be there. They should be getting calls from their United States Senator, who's the point person on this, and Senator Hoeven, on a regular basis, so that they do get updates. Even if that update is, nothing. I don't know. I mean, nothing has changed since then, but that alone will make those sisters realize that this hasn't been backburnered. And so to hear them say that about Senator Hoeven, that put a little bit of bounce in my step. That made me feel that Senator Hoeven is doing his job. And here's what's lost in a lot of this, ladies and gentlemen. We as a nation are so divided politically that we won't let ambassadors get appointed or get confirmed, I should say. And we're so divided politically that we're sitting there saying, well, we don't appoint. The Biden administration is way behind what the Trump administration has been with appointments, period. And that's a Democrat talking about a Democrat. This administration needs to get their act together, get people appointed, and then Congress needs to quit playing politics with these appointments, get people into positions where they can be in leadership. Because of what you just heard, you need a strong presence. You need a strong, unified presence as a country saying, look, we need Kurt out of there. We need him home. And so we, as the United States of America, are going to speak to you, the Ukraine, and we're going to explain our case to you. You're going to have to talk to us. These two sisters deserve more information than just what they're hearing through a grapevine. They deserve the right to talk to them, to see them. That needs to happen, as was just pointed out by informed callers. That needs to happen through the United States government. And until that happens, this won't be resolved. And if it goes on and on and on without being resolved, that end result could be tragic. And I think they know that. And I'm not trying to just bring them down by saying that. They know that. They're pretty bright women. Let's get to Tom Szymanski and find out what's going on in our weather. Tom?
Scatter flurries and snow showers from the northwest corner of
All right, I'm struggling. Are you going to turn me on?
Well, I turned.
I've got the little light in front of me
I
here.
forgot that I turned your mic down so you wouldn't talk after Sarah.
Control freak.
Well, because
That's
you
what
were
you are.
acting like you were going to talk after.
All
and I
I'm
didn't want
saying
you
is
to.
you are so ready for marriage.
Well.
Yep. I realize you haven't found the right guy yet because there's few redheads out there. But I'm just saying, don't eye roll. People, do you have the camera on this YouTube thing?
I do.
They just saw your eye roll. They just saw that from
It's
afar.
kind of a dramatic eye roll.
That's a
which is never
gross
I never
understatement. A very gross understatement. So, what do you got going for Thanksgiving?
Working the show.
Yes, we get to spend some Thanksgiving together.
I know. Get to spend a holiday together.
Are you helping with the meal in any way, shape, or form?
Well, I texted my mother yesterday asking what I should bring, and she said, "You're out of it because you're working." Like my brother, he's going down to Wahpeton tonight. He has to bring stuff, but I got out of bringing anything.
If you were in charge of the meal, or your brother Cortland was, or Mason, which one of the brothers would make? Which one of the siblings? Let me put it a different way. Which one of Perry and Denise's kids would make the best meal?
Cortland, my oldest brother.
He would, huh?
Because he is a huge control freak. Like, if you're in the kitchen with him, you have to watch out, because he will control everything. He's got it all under control. He's planned everything in advance, prepped everything, so he would make the best meal.
Yep.
Carson,
I could have guessed that.
Carson would prefer pizza. That's what he would always prefer.
He would make pizza?
Yeah, I would attempt it. I don't know that it would be successful, but I would give it my best shot.
I could do it. I could. I know I could.
Out of your siblings, who?
Out of my siblings, the best cook, my sister Julie. That one is just instantly easiest.
Who's
Julie,
the worst?
I'm going to say this in my personal opinion. Heidi's the worst.
Really?
All
what
she
about
makes
Dennis?
is enchiladas. That's all. If you go to Heidi's to eat, I was joking with Dennis last night because
is Dennis a good cook?
Yeah, Dennis is a good cook. He's very limited in what he cooks. Heidi and Darwin are on their way to Fargo right now, so they might be listening. They're in a car. But Heidi's big signature dish is enchiladas.
Well, enchiladas are really good, but hopefully she can make more than that.
Well, we're going to find out because I'm going to her place for dinner. I've got some news here about the Vikings that you're not going to like if you're a Viking fan, so stick around. To hear an official statement coming out from the Minnesota Vikings. Let me just read it verbatim, and then you have it. It says, Viking representatives and the team's mental health professionals have been on site at Everson Griffin's home since early this morning and are cooperating with law enforcement. Our only concern at this time is the safety and well-being of Everson and his family. We will have further comment at the appropriate time. Now, know that he struggled with depression and mental health issues before, and it appears that that he might be struggling with them again. I don't want to get ahead of myself and say that he's done playing ball, but the thing that jumped out at me the most in that statement is law enforcement. So if law enforcement is involved, something happened. Something happened other than, boy, I'm struggling right now. Something happened. And so it makes me incredibly nervous because he's having an absolutely great season. Danielle Hunter was lost on the other end. And so both of your two defensive ends wouldn't be there at a time when the Vikes seem to be turning a corner. And so if you look at what's happened the last two games, which the Vikes won, Griffin has played a major role in those. So keep that in mind. This studio is sponsored by Blackfish Days Sale at the Detroit Lakes Outlet Recreation.com store. In honor of Black Friday, it's Blackfish Days at the Detroit Lakes Outlet Rec.com store this Friday and Saturday. So that's an absolutely great place, Abracadabra, to go and shop for me for Christmas.
To shop for you.
Anything under $20K, I think
that's a good one.
I think you're shorting yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. That's what you're worth.
What?
Anything under $20K. What do you even need? You have an ice fish house, which I don't get why they're called ice castles.
Fish house?
No, why are they called ice castles?
Well, that's the name of the brand.
Oh. That makes more sense. So
Like
you already
Grey
have
Wolf,
you already have a fish house. You have an RV. You have your Polaris Ranger. You have a boat. What do you need?
You're making me a little spoiled.
Yeah.
I'm at an age where you work slowly to get and acquire those
I know,
things.
but what could I possibly get for you for Christmas? That's $20,000 that you don't
Let's
have.
think about that. It's never bad to upgrade.
Ah, okay.
You pick away. My first Polaris Ranger was a 500, and now I'll just slowly pick away until I got 1,000. And here's the other part. This is an absolutely great time if you can live without for a short period of time to trade. And by that I mean there's such a demand for used pickups out there that if you went to any dealership and said, look, I can wait 6 months to get my new rig if you're looking to sell this rig, and you could work out the numbers. Now, here's where the problem lies with some of that is the dealer won't commit to a certain number because he's afraid of inflationary factors and what that number might be. But you take your Chevy and you go into say you go to Smith Motors and you sit there and say, all right, here's the deal. I can wait. I'll drive Joel's old Jeep for a while, and it won't be any big deal. So give me a bunch of money for this. I'll put it to the new rig when it comes. It's that time in your lifetime where you could make that work. Just make sure you got the other price kind of plugged in so you have some idea.
Time in your lifetime or time of the year?
I've never had it like that before. It's a COVID thing. It's a COVID. It's a shortage. America relies too much on foreign auto parts. It's a shortage thing. And as Ward Cater said yesterday on the News and Views radio network, it seems to be catching up to itself. We seem to be getting back that way. But there is so many lessons to learn in the good old US of A of how dependent we are on foreign goods and services in terms of being able to deliver for our country. It's a whole different economy. Here's what's going to happen in auto dealerships. You're going to drive by dealerships where you saw pickups, cars, SUVs, all of those things stacked up like cordwood. You want a red one? Come on, let's walk down this line. You want a black one? Come on, let's walk down this line. Here's the features on this one. Here's the features on that one. Go ahead, kick the tires, take it for a drive, go what you think. Those days of buying cars are pretty much over. And COVID just accelerated that. When Susan bought her last rig, she went online and she just, okay, I'd like to have this, like to have that. This is what I'd like to have in it. That one's no big deal to me. These are my options. What's my price with those options? Oh, might be a little higher than what I want to pay. So I'll click here, take that option off. Oh, now it's getting down to the area that I do think I can afford to pay. And there's just going to be a lot of that. And of course, in the used area, it's a little harder, right? It's quite a bit, frankly, it's way harder to make that work. And so, the more options they have. I'm going to give you an example of something that happened in my life. Highway Service Polaris is incredibly good at what they do. And they know the schedule that I'm on in terms of keeping, my equipment and things that I have. And so I get a call from them and they say, hey, it's about time you, refreshed, for lack of a better way of putting it. And I said, no, I'm good. They said, Joel, just think, no pressure. It really wasn't pressure. It was just friends talking to friends. And by the time I went in to look at the other one, they had mine sold.
So you did need a new one.
I looked at Kelly and I said, you had mine sold. And she went, yeah, we knew somebody that needed it. And we knew that what your schedule's on. And, that's kind of the phase in my life. And I said to him, I go, but the one that you're having me look at is gray, and I don't buy gray, right?
Don't you only buy red?
That's right. I only buy red.
So that applies. So the red applies to not only your vehicles, but also your Polaris.
If you go home to my place, you're going to see red.
A boat?
No, the boat's blue.
Okay.
But I'm only part owner of the boat. The son-in-law's got the other half of the boat, so can't complain too much.
Did you cut it in half?
No, he did it just because he wanted to stay in the family and have his kids have.
Yep.
The boat is his father's boat,
Okay.
and his father, you can tell, kept his equipment up just meticulous. I mean, he took care of things. He took pride in it, and so that used Lund boat is great. It's absolutely great. Now, my goal was to keep that same type of care of it, and I think I've done okay. I really do. I think I've done okay. Somebody said, did you blow the engine in your wife's last vehicle purchase?
Ooh.
Just go ahead
Shots
and
are
jab a
fired.
guy. It wasn't my wife's last purchase.
I feel like you need to update everybody on the Jeep. It's been a while.
Yeah, the water pump went out. and the Jeep is done. I'm going probably today to go pick it up. I bought a used Jeep, all these years on God's earth, but it's supposedly overheated, and I didn't always trust the gauge. So I get out, check the engine. The engine's not hot. Go back in, crank it up again, and no red, no indicator that the vehicle's overheated at all. No steam from the radiator, which later on I found out kind of why, because, the heat pump went out. Or not the heat pump, but the water pump, and I drove it again, and that wasn't a good move. And so all you folks who right now are laughing, saying, the minute that light comes on, Joel, you pull over and you stay there. And until you stay there and get some help or get it worked out, you're going to blow your engine. Well, I bought a new engine.
I didn't have to buy a new tire.
But you had it fixed thanks to OK Tire,
yes.
right? So
Yeah,
guess
was
what color?
just this week.
Guess what color that Jeep is that I got to go pick up today.
Well, it'd have to be red.
Hello.
Whoa.
So
I think so. My father sticks to blue.
I noticed that.
He sticks to blue, and then the car that I have also is blue.
Yeah. So,
I like it though.
So my Jeep that I bought is, a Grand Cherokee. It's
I like the
loaded.
color of it.
It is. Did you ever see it? Never made its way to Fargo the first time I tried to drive.
You showed me a photo.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
all.
But it's got new tires on it. It's got a new engine in it with a 3-year warranty, all that. You know what I'm going to do probably with it?
Sell it.
Because every time I look at it, I'm going to think of that. You know what I mean?
The pain has caused you.
I know I'm going to lose
the money, the pain.
I know I'm going to lose money. I know it. And so, you know what? I'm perfectly open to the fact I'm going to lose money. But when I walk out of the house and say, hop in it and go, I'm going to go. It's always going to make me think of how stupid I was that day.
I just think it's funny that the Jeep successfully made it from Bozeman to Hankinson.
Right.
With stops in between, whatever you needed to do. And then you try to take it from Hankinson to Fargo, and it made it a little over half.
And it wasn't my fault in the sense that the water pump went out. I mean, I didn't hit something. The water pump went out after all that.
So my car knowledge is limited.
Very. I've helped you with your vehicle a number of times.
I didn't hear about a water pump until yesterday when Tom texted me, which is why he is on the road doing his weather. And he's on the phone. We could get him in. I haven't heard of a water pump until yesterday. And now you mentioned it today. I have no idea the purpose. That doesn't even sound like it should be in a car. It sounds like it should be in your lawn, the ground.
You have a radiator, right?
Yeah.
So it pumps, it moves water through, and that cools the engine. Which, if it's not working, a light
So then, though, if the water pump is not working, then your engine starts smoking like yours did.
Yeah. Yep. It didn't smoke because there wasn't water in it.
Oh.
That was what got me. That's what really, I should have opened the radiator and said, it's really, really low.
It is.
Or there's nothing there to look at. So somebody said, what year is the Jeep? It's a 2011. So I and that Jeep are not going to be best friends. I can feel it. Let's get to the weather cave and visit with Too Tall Tom. Tom, what do you have?
Scattered flurries here and there, gusty winds across the region, and chilly temperatures. High temperatures have already been reached in many areas. They will range from the teens north.
880-5346. We tried to do this earlier, and we may do more of it another time, but Lori Isog is part of that great team at Honor Flight. She's one of 3 sisters, by the way, that all volunteer their time. Lori, good to have you on News and Views.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You got a big event coming up. Tell people about it.
Okay, so this Saturday, the 27th, we're going to be having our Honor Flight Jersey Night at the Fargo Force game. So what that is the players wear our jerseys designed for us for the Veterans Honor Flight, and they're beautiful this year. It's like they got a waving flag on there. And then after the game, the fans get to bid on the jerseys, and whoever wins that gets that jersey signed by that player. So it really is a nice, fun family event, and it starts out with the puck dropping at 6:05. But this year we're going to have an exciting puck drop, and it's something that I don't think any of you want to miss. We're honored to have Senior Master Sergeant Erica Cruz from the 119th Wing in Fargo. She's going to drop the puck from overseas.
Yeah.
And while she's dropping the puck here at the stadium at the Fargo Force will be her son and daughter and her husband.
How cool is that? I mean, I knew about Lori and I talked about this a couple days ago, and that is so cool. I mean, what a great idea, Lori.
I know. It just kind of gives you shivers, thinking about it, because, they're apart for the holidays, and then they'll kind of get to, do that. So that's just going to be really special. So that will be fun to watch.
Okay.
And then the first 1,000 fans we're giving out beanie hats sponsored by American
By the way,
Crystal.
I'm holding them up if you're watching us on YouTube.
Awesome. They look really nice.
They do.
So that'll be good for our winters up here.
2 tickets and a beanie hat for the first 3 people that call in, but you better go to the game. If you're not going to the game, do not call in. 1-800-880-5346. This is all in honor of the Honor Flight. Lori, thank you for
welcome.
what you and your folks do. You're beautiful people. Beautiful
thank
people.
You. We enjoy it. It's a worthy cause.
Yep. Call in, get your beanie hat. And by the way, Lori, bring me one. I'll pay you for it.
Okay.
I promise. 1-800-880-5346. You call, you get a beanie hat, you get 2 tickets. Get there. Get to Shields Arena. Be part of all of this. Lori, thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you.
Lori Isog, ladies and gentlemen. All right, folks, a lot of different topics today. We will be live tomorrow. Steve Tomac will be joining us. He was one of 18 kids. He still is one of 18 kids. We're going to talk about old times on Thanksgiving. So I hope you join Abby and I. Good riding with you, folks.